Hello everyone and welcome to today's session, and today we'll be discussing the NCERT Exemplar questions for the chapter Ecosystem. This is the disclaimer. So today we'll be understanding the basic concepts related to the chapter Ecosystem by working through NCERT Exemplar questions. So these questions they are based on some concepts. We'll discuss these concepts by discussing these NCERT Exemplar questions. Okay, so today we'll be discussing NCERT Exemplar questions. So these questions have been divided into the following categories. So we have multiple choice questions, and then we have very short answer type questions. We'll also discuss short answer type questions and long answer type questions. So let's begin with the multiple choice question. So the question is, decomposers like fungi and bacteria are autotrophs, heterotrophs, saprotrophs, or chemoautotrophs. So basically in this question they are asking about the mode of nutrition of these organisms. Okay, so you have the four options. You have to select the correct answer from these options. So what will be the correct answer? So let's have a look at the answer. Option number C is the correct answer here. Means the decomposers, they are heterotrophs. Means they obtain nutrients from the other organisms, and they are saprotrophs as well. Means they obtain nutrients from the dead and decaying organic matter. Okay, so the first option is autotroph. This is not the correct answer. So autotrophs can be of two types: chemoautotrophs and photoautotrophs. So these are the organisms which are able to synthesize their own food. Now next one are the heterotrophs. So these are the organisms that cannot make their own food, so they are dependent on others for energy. Now heterotrophs can be divided into different groups based on what they eat. So herbivores, they eat plants; carnivores, they eat animals, means the meat; and omnivores, they eat both plant-based product and the animal-based product, or animals you can say. Now saprotroph, these are the organisms which obtain their nourishment from dead organic matter or remains of both plants and animals. So they feed on dead and decaying matter. They obtain nutrition from dead and decaying matter. There's a fungi and many bacteria are classical saprotrophs. So what these fungi and bacteria do? They release enzymes. These enzymes, they help in the breakdown of the detritus, and then these decomposers, they absorb the nutrients. Now these saprotrophs are also known as decomposers because they play a crucial role in recycling minerals and nutrients in the ecosystem. Without them, dead materials would pile up and nutrients would not return to the soil, because the decomposers, they also help in the nutrient cycling. So decomposers, they are very important part of the ecosystem. Next one, the process of mineralization by microorganism help in the release of. So first option is inorganic nutrients from the humus. Next one, both organic and inorganic nutrients from detritus. Third option is organic nutrients from the humus, and the last option is inorganic nutrients from detritus and formation of humus. So what will be the correct answer? Let's have a look at the answer. Option number A, inorganic nutrients from humus, this is the correct answer. Now decomposition is a complex process where dead organic material is broken down, and there are 5 important steps in the decomposition. So these are fragmentation, leaching, catabolism, humification, and mineralization. Okay, these are the 5 steps. Now 2 of the final steps in decomposition are responsible for creating the most important soil product. Humification creates humus, which is dark, nutrient-rich, and very stable substance that enriches the soil. Mineralization is the final breakdown of that humus and other organic matter into simple inorganic nutrients that the plant can easily use again. So, by mineralization, what is happening? Inorganic nutrients are formed and they are added into the soil. And now the plant can absorb these nutrients through roots. And during mineralization, decomposers like bacteria and fungi, they work to break down the remaining organic matter, including the stable humus. The humus, this is resistance to microbial degradation. These microbes, they keep on degrading this humus slowly, and this leads to the formation of inorganic nutrients. Okay. Now, mineralization is also responsible for release of inorganic substances, both minerals and non-minerals like water and carbon dioxide from dead organic matter of plants and animals remains. Okay, what all minerals are released? Potassium, magnesium, calcium, and ammonium. Next question, productivity is the rate of production of biomass expressed in terms of. So productivity is expressed in terms of what? So you have these four options. You have to select the correct answer from these options. Let's have a look at the answers. Option number C is the correct answer. Second and fourth. Now, productivity is the rate at which new organic or biomass is created by organism at each trophic level. Here. Now, it is expressed or measured in terms of weight. For example, gram per meter square per year. Because productivity is what? It is the rate at which the biomass is being produced at any trophic level per unit area over a time period. It can also be measured in the terms of energy, for example, kilocalories per meter square per year. Next question is, an inverted pyramid of biomass can be found in which ecosystem? So the options are forest, marine ecosystem, forest ecosystem, grassland ecosystem, or tundra ecosystem. So what will be the correct answer here? Option number B, marine ecosystem is the correct answer. So marine ecosystem is basically aquatic ecosystem. Now let's see why the pyramid of biomass is inverted in the case of aquatic or marine ecosystem. Now in these environment, the biomass of larger animals like fish can actually be greater than the biomass of the tiny phytoplanktons, which occupy the base of the ecological pyramid. Okay, so here you can see the producers, they are the phytoplanktons, means they are occupying the first trophic level. The biomass of these phytoplanktons is very less. Yes. Now the next trophic level is occupied by the zooplanktons. The biomass of zooplankton is more as compared to phytoplanktons, and then the third trophic level is occupied by the small fishes. So the biomass of these small fishes, it is more than the zooplanktons as well as the phytoplanktons. So that's why you are getting an inverted pyramid of biomass in the case of aquatic ecosystem. Okay. So here in the case of aquatic ecosystem like pond ecosystem, marine ecosystem, pyramid of biomass is inverted because the biomass of fishes exceed that of phytoplanktons, which make the small standing crop of the aquatic system. In aquatic ecosystem, biomass of trophic level depends upon reproductive health, potential, and longevity of its members. Okay, So the amount of biomass at each level depends on how quickly organisms reproduce and how long they live. For example, phytoplankton reproduce rapidly but don't live long. So their standing biomass is always low, even though they support a large population of consumers. Next question, which of the following ecosystems is most productive in terms of net primary production? Next one, okay, options are desert, tropical rainforest, oceans, and estuaries. What will be the correct answer? Option B is the correct answer, tropical rainforest. Tropical rainforests are at the top for net primary productivity. So in terms of net primary productivity, tropical rainforest is at the top, followed by coral reef, estuaries, and desert and oceans. Okay, so thus option B is the correct answer, and other options are wrong. Here, you can see in tropical rainforest, there is a lot of sunlight, there is a lot of water available, there is a lot of rainfall. That's why the productivity is more. Next one, approximately how much of the solar energy that falls on the leaves of a plant is converted to chemical energy by photosynthesis? Options are less than 1, 2 to 10%, 30%, or 50%. What will be the correct answer? Let's have a look at the answer. C answer is option B, 2 to 10%. Now, sun is like the main power source for almost all ecosystems, except for some deep sea environments. Now, but not all sunlight is useful for the plants. Less than half of the sunlight that reaches Earth is in the right range for photosynthesis, and this is called photosynthetically active radiation, or PAR. Out of the, you can say, all the sunlight that hits the leaves, only 2 to 10% is actually captured by the plant and turned into chemical energy. This small percentage is what supports all life in the ecosystem. Okay? So, of the incident solar radiation, which is actually less than 50%, is known as photosynthetically active radiation. And from this photosynthetic active radiation, only 2 to 10% of the, you can say, sunlight is captured by the autotrophs. Next one, among the following, where do you think the process of decomposition would be like? Options are tropical rainforests, Antarctic, dry, arid region, and alpine region. What will be the correct answer? So let's have a look at the answer here. Option number A is the correct answer. Now, let's have a look at the explanation. See, the lowest strata or story of forest floor of the tropical rainforest receive little solar radiation, and soil is rich in mineral and humus. Now, as the high temperature and moisture means humidity are favorable for high microbial activity of decomposers to decompose the fallen leaves and dead organic matter, process of decomposition is fastest in this type of biome. Clear? So that's why you can see the process of decomposition would be faster in the case of tropical rainforest. So decomposition rate is high in moist conditions, in warm conditions. Okay, this rate of decomposition also depends on the chemical constituents of the detritus. Clear? Now, next we have the very short answer type questions. The first question is name an organism found as secondary carnivore in an aquatic ecosystem. Let's have a look at the answer. See, in an aquatic ecosystem, food chain can be drawn as follows. Now here in aquatic ecosystem, phytoplanktons, which are the tiny plants in water, they are the producers. Okay, they are capturing the sunlight and they are doing the process of photosynthesis and they are producing biomass and energy. Now these phytoplankton, they are eaten up by the zooplanktons, which are the primary consumers. So zooplanktons are basically herbivores, you can say. Then small fishes and water beetles eat the zooplanktons. Okay, clear? So these small fishes and water beetle, they are the secondary consumers. Finally, large fish and water birds such as ducks and fowls eat these smaller fishes, placing them at the top as tertiary consumers or second level carnivores. So the answer to this question is that large fish and water birds like ducks and waterfowls are examples of secondary carnivore in an aquatic ecosystem. So they play a crucial role by keeping the population of smaller fishes and insects in balance. Next question, what does the base tier of ecological pyramid represent? Let's have a look at the answer. See, the base tier of ecological pyramid represents the producers or the first trophic level. These producers, they are usually green plants or algae that make their own food using sunlight. Okay, so you can see there are three ecological pyramids: pyramid of number, pyramid of biomass, and pyramid of energy. In all of these pyramid, the base or the first trophic level, this is occupied by the producers. So base tier is always occupied by the producers. Here in this image we can see, okay, let's take an example of pyramid of number in the grassland ecosystem. Here you can see the producers are always at the base. They are forming the base tier. They are occupying the first trophic level. What are producers doing? Producers, they are capturing the sunlight and they are doing the process of photosynthesis, and by this process they are producing the biomass as well as the energy which is available for the organism present at the next trophic level. Okay, clear? Now next question is, justify the pitcher plant as a producer. Is it a producer or not? Producer means autotrophs, means they can prepare their own food. Let's have a look at the answer. See, pitcher plant, the scientific name is Nepenthes khasiana. This is an insectivorous plant. Even though it traps the insect for fulfilling its nitrogen deficiency, it still has chlorophyll and can perform photosynthesis. So this means it can capture sunlight and turn it into chemical energy. Now, it is you can say insectivorous plant which are produced in the soil lacking nitrogen. Clear? So, pitcher plant is an insectivorous plant. It grows in an area which lacks nitrogen. So, to make up the nitrogen deficiency, they trap the insects. So, they digest the insect and they obtain you can say nitrogen basically from these insects. Next one, in the northeastern region of India, during the process of jhum cultivation, forests are cleared by burning and left for regrowth after a year of cultivation. How would you explain the regrowth of forest in the ecological term? So let's have a look at the answer. See, forests that are cleared by burning and left for regrowth will show secondary succession. Now, since the soil remains, it often contains seeds that were buried and survived the fire. Okay, so in the soil, you have the seeds, clear, that were buried, and that's why these seeds can survive the fire because they were buried under the soil. So these seeds can start to germinate once conditions are favorable. Now next. Now finally, new seeds are brought into the area by wind also and other natural forces such as animals or water. So this means new plant species can move in and start growing as well, helping the forest become diverse again. So the regrowth of the forest is a combination of surviving seeds and the new seeds that have arrived, all working together to restore the ecosystem. Next question, climax stage is achieved quickly in secondary succession as compared to primary succession. Why? Let's have a look at the answer. See that in secondary succession what happens? The process moves faster because the soil is already present. Clear? So the rate of ecological succession is quicker in secondary succession as compared to primary succession as the soil, which is a substratum, is already available for further succession. The presence of soil means plant and other organism can establish themselves much more quickly. In contrast, primary succession starts from bare rocks where there is no soil at all. Okay, so that's why the primary succession is harder and takes longer because you have to create right conditions first for the growth of any organisms. Not all organisms can grow on the rocks. Only few of them, like mosses, can grow on the rocks. Now, without soil, bare rocks has no way to hold on to water and nutrients. The first organisms that arrive face extremely challenging conditions with little to no resources for growth. So, if the organism is going on a bare rock, then obviously it has no resources for growth. So, the slow and difficult process of creating soil by breaking down rock and accumulating organic matter is what makes primary succession so much slower than the secondary succession. Okay. Moving on to the next question, among bryophyte, lichens, and ferns, which one is the pioneer species in a xeric succession? So, xeric means dry condition. Okay. Arid conditions. Let's have a look at the answer. So, what are pioneer species? So, these are the first organism to colonize a bare area where there was previously no life. The pioneer species are the first organisms to colonize a bare area. In the case of the xeric succession, which happens in dry, barren places like rocks or desert, lichens and bryophytes are usually the first to arrive. These organisms are tough and can survive harsh conditions where most plants cannot survive. So, they start the process of making the environment suitable for other species. Lichens play a special role here. They produce acids like lichen acid and carbonic acid, which slowly break down the surface of the rocks. Now, as the rock surface get weathered and broken down, it starts to collect the soil particles. This new thin layer of soil creates a place where bryophytes and eventually ferns can grow. So, the work of lichens and bryophytes sets the stage for more complex plant life to move in, showing us how ecosystems gradually develop over time. Next question, organisms at a higher trophic level have less energy available. You have to comment on this statement. Let's have a look at the answer. Okay, so let's first talk about the Lindman's 10% law. So this law says that only about 10% of the energy from one trophic level is passed on to the next trophic level, while the rest of the energy, means 90% of energy, is lost mostly as the heat. Now, energy decreases progressively at each higher trophic level in a food chain. So only 10% of the energy is transferred here to the higher trophic level, and around 90% of the energy is lost. Now, animals at the very top of the food chain, the top carnivores, receive the least amount of energy. Now, by the time the energy reaches them, it has been transferred through several different trophic levels, with 90% of it being lost at each step. Because they receive so little energy from their food, top carnivores must eat a large quantity of prey to survive. Yeah? So, as we are moving upwards, as we are moving from lower trophic level to higher trophic level, clear, and if when we reach the around fourth trophic level, which is occupied by the top carnivores, very less energy is left, because only 10% of the energy is being transferred. So no new trophic level, you can say, exist after that, because the energy is very less now. It cannot support a new trophic level. Okay, so that's why organisms at higher trophic level have left less energy available because of loss of energy at each step. Here you can see this is an image showing you the loss of energy. So here you can see energy is always transferred in one direction from producers to the consumers. Now here you can see at here, first of all, producers, they will capture the light energy. Okay, and then the producers, okay, they will do the process of photosynthesis, they will produce biomass, they will produce energy. Now herbivores, they feed on the producers. Yeah. And only 10% of the energy is being transferred from producers to the herbivores, and then from the herbivores to the primary consumer. Again, only 10% of the energy is being transferred. So this happens again and again, and very less energy is available for the top carnivore. Next question: in an aquarium of complete ecosystem. Okay, is an aquarium a complete ecosystem? Aquarium is a man-made ecosystem. It is artificial. Okay, in aquarium, all the conditions are controlled. Let's have a look at the answer. See, aquarium is a man-made ecosystem. It is an artificial ecosystem. Okay, so like pond and forest, they occur naturally. An aquarium is something humans create and manage. Now, if an ecosystem possesses all physical and biological components, then it is said to be a complete ecosystem. So there are two components of the in the ecosystem: biotic components and the abiotic components. Biotic components are the living things, and the non-abiotic components, they are the non-living things. And the biotic components interact with each other, and the biotic components also interact with the abiotic components. Now, an aquarium has biotic components such as plants and fishes, and abiotic components are water and air, which are all needed for the survival of the fish. So we can say that an aquarium is a complete ecosystem because it contains everything required for life. Next question: what could be the reason for the faster rate of decomposition in the tropics? Let's have a look at the answer. Now you can see tropical regions are known for their high temperatures and humidity. These conditions are perfect for speeding up chemical reactions and biological processes, including decomposition. Now, the soil in the tropical region is often rich in humus, which is decayed organic matter and minerals. So, this humus consists of decaying organic matter and the minerals. Now, another important factor is the climate. The combination of warmth and moisture, means warm condition and moisture, creates optimal conditions for decomposers like bacteria and fungi. Okay, now abundant dead organic matter leads to faster decomposition rate. Okay, clear. So now you can see the conditions in the tropic, they are favorable for decomposition. You have warm temperature, there's a lot of moisture as well, and there is a lot of dead organic matter also available. And this organic matter is rich in nitrogen. Okay, it is rich in, you can say, cellulose as well. Okay, so these can be degraded easily by the microorganism. So the chemical constituent of the detritus of the organic matter also determines the rate of the decomposition. If the, you can say, detritus consists of more amount of lignin and chitin, then it will take time to for the decomposition of this material. So rate of decomposition will be less. Okay, this is clear. Moving on to the short answer type questions. So question is, apart from plants and animals, microbes form a permanent biotic component in a ecosystem. While plants have been regarded as autotrophs and animals as heterotrophs. What are the microbes referred as, and how do the microbes fulfill their energy requirements? So let's have a look at the answer. See, organisms are classified as autotrophs, means they can prepare their own food, they are self-feeding. And the next one is the heterotrophs, means which obtain nutrients from others. So based on the mode of nutrition, the organism can be divided into autotrophs and heterotrophs. Now, there are two main types of autotrophs depending on the energy source. First one is photoautotrophs, like plants that use sunlight to produce food through photosynthesis. In contrast, chemoautotrophs, which are often bacteria in extreme environment like deep sea vents, use energy from the inorganic chemical reactions to make their food. Now, heterotrophs can also be divided into certain groups. The first one is parasite. They live on or inside the other organism, and it absorbs nutrients from the host, making the host weaker. Now, predators, they hunt and eat other animals, here, which is the prey. The predator will hunt the prey. And then finally, saprophytes, they feed on dead and decaying organic matter. So these saprophytes, they're also known as decomposers, and they help in the nutrient recycling as well. Now, most of the microbes in the ecosystem are saprotrophs, which means they get their energy by breaking down dead organic matter. Yeah. So this process is called extracellular digestion, and it's essential for recycling nutrients and keeping the ecosystem healthy. Next question is, poaching of a tiger is a burning issue in today's world. What implication would this activity have on the functioning of the ecosystem of which the tigers are an integral part? What will be the answer? Now, tigers are top carnivores. Tigers are at the very peak of their food chain, and their role is essential for keeping the entire ecosystem in check. They control the population of herbivores like deer and the wild boar that are their prey. If the number of these herbivores were to grow unchecked, they would overgrow the area, severely damaging the vegetation and disrupting the balance of the forest. Now you can see they strengthen the prey population by removing old and the sick animals. Here, now the presence of a healthy tiger population is a powerful sign that the entire ecosystem is thriving. Tiger require a large territory with a plentiful and diverse prey base, and a healthy forest to live in. So tigers serve as indicators of forest health and ecosystem well-being. The conservation of tiger is much more than just saving a single species. It's about protecting the entire forest ecosystem because tigers need a large, healthy forest to survive. Efforts to protect them naturally lead to protection of their entire habitat. Next question is, what are the three types of ecological pyramid? What information is conveyed by each pyramid with regard to structure, function and energy in the ecosystem? Next one. Okay, let's talk about the ecological pyramid. So ecological pyramid is a graphical representation of an ecological parameter as number of individuals present in various trophic level of the food chain. Now, what are the properties of ecological pyramid? Yeah, so there are three kind of ecological pyramid: pyramid of number, pyramid of biomass, and pyramid of energy. Okay, so in pyramid of number, you talk about the number of the organism. Pyramid of biomass, you are talking about the biomass of the particular, you can say, of the species. You are talking about the biomass of the species present at a particular trophic level. Okay, so basically here you include all the species in a particular trophic level, and then you have the pyramid of energy, which is telling you about the energy present at that trophic level. Let's talk about the properties of ecological pyramid. The trophic structure of an ecosystem is represented in the form of ecological pyramids. Okay, trophic structure means the, you can say, the producers, the consumers. Okay, now the base of every ecological pyramid represents the producers like plants or algae, which form the first trophic level. As we move up, each level represents a different group of consumers, with the very top being the highest level predators or top carnivores. Let's continue the discussion. The three types of ecological pyramids are: first one is pyramid of number. So this pyramid shows us the relationship between producers and the consumers by counting the number of individuals at each level. For example, in a grassland, there might be many grasses, few grasshopper, and even fewer birds that eat the grasshoppers. Sometimes the pyramid is upright, but in some cases, like a single tree supporting many insects, it can be inverted. Now here we can see simple table that connects each trophic level to the number of individuals present. Okay. Here this is the pyramid of number you can see here. The number of primary producer is more as compared to the primary consumers now, and again the number of primary consumers is more as compared to the secondary consumer. And you can see finally the number of tertiary consumer is the least. Here, so you can see here the first trophic level is occupied by the primary producer. The number of primary producer, this is greater as compared to primary consumers. And the number of secondary consumers, this is less as compared to the primary consumer. And finally, tertiary consumers, where the top carnivores are present, their number is least. So you get the upright pyramid here. Okay, let's talk about the pyramid of biomass. It shows the relationship between producers and consumers in an ecosystem termed in terms of biomass. Now it can be upright as in the case of grassland ecosystem, or it can be inverted in the case of pond ecosystem, marine ecosystem or aquatic ecosystem. Okay. Now here you can see the biomass can be measured in the terms of dry weight, means kilogram per meter square. This is an image showing the pyramid of biomass. This is the upright pyramid of biomass. Here you can see the biomass of primary producers. This is maximum. Okay. Now the biomass of primary consumers, this is less as compared to primary producers. Then the biomass of secondary consumer, this is less as compared to primary producers, and finally the top carnivores. They are few in number, so their biomass is also less. Okay, so here you're getting upright ecological pyramid. You can get the inverted pyramid of biomass also, as in the case of aquatic ecosystem, where the producers, they are the phytoplankton. So these are tiny plants, okay, and their biomass is very less because they multiply rapidly, but they die also. Yeah, so their biomass is less. And then the primary consumer, these are the zooplankton. So biomass of zooplankton is more as compared to the primary producers, which are the phytoplankton. So you will get an inverted pyramid of biomass here. Let's talk about the inverted pyramid of biomass. This shows smaller producer biomass supporting larger consumer biomass. So base will be, okay, it will, you can say it will be less wider as compared to the, you can say the primary consumers. Because what is happening here, the biomass of the primary producer, this is less as compared to the biomass of the primary consumers, which are zooplankton. Example, small phytoplankton biomass supporting large zooplankton biomass. Then let's talk about the energy pyramid, pyramid of energy. So this shows energy flow between trophic levels. It is always upright. Why it is always upright? Because energy decreases at each level due to heat loss. So pyramid of energy is always upright because energy flows in one direction from producers to consumers, and there is loss of energy at each step. Only 10% of energy is being transferred to the next higher trophic level, and 90% of energy is being lost. This is an image showing you pyramid of energy. You can see the base tier, which is occupied by the producers. It has maximum energy, and as you are moving upwards from primary producers to primary consumers, you can see only 10% of the energy is being transferred, and there is very less energy available at the tertiary carnivore level. It's occupied by the top, you can say, carnivore. Okay, here, so tertiary consumers, this is the fourth trophic level. It's occupied by the top carnivores. And you can see very less energy, 10 joules of energy is only left here. Now, next question, write a short note on pyramid of number and pyramid of biomass. So let's have a look at the answer. Now, ecological pyramids show relationship between different trophic levels and can be expressed in terms of number, biomass, or energy. Now, pyramid of number is typically upright, means more number of producers as compared to consumers. But it can be inverted in some cases, like forest ecosystem, where insects, which are the consumer, outnumber the tree. So if there is a single tree supporting a large number of insects, in that case you will get inverted pyramid of number. Okay. Now pyramid of biomass is usually upright here, but it becomes inverted in the case of aquatic ecosystem, where biomass of the consumers such as fishes and zooplankton, it exceeds the biomass of the producers, which are the phytoplankton here. So you will get inverted pyramid of biomass in the case of aquatic ecosystem. Now next question is given below is a list of autotrophs and heterotrophs with your knowledge about food chain, establish various linkages between the organisms on the principle of eating and being eaten. What is this link? What is this interlinkage established known as? So these are the organisms which are given to you. Okay, these are autotrophs and heterotrophs. Okay, means producers and consumers. You have to establish various linkages between these organisms. So let's have a look at the answer. See, here we are talking about the food chain and the food web. The food chain is like a straight line showing who eats whom one after another. But in real life, it's more like a web with many connections because most animals eat more than one kind of food. So one organism can occupy multiple trophic levels. Okay, one organism can eat more than, you can say, or it can have more than one kind of food. It can eat more than one kind of animal. That's why it is occupying multiple trophic level. Okay, or you can say they are more than one food source for that particular organism. Now the first trophic level, which is the, you can say, the base of the food chain, are occupied by the producers known as the autotrophs. So these are plants and algae, like, as well as phytoplanktons. Okay, hydrilla, spirogera, these are all producers that make their own food using sunlight. Now second trophic level can be occupied by the primary consumers, which are basically the herbivores like deer, rabbits and grasshoppers, and they feed on the producers. Third trophic level, this is occupied by the secondary consumers, so consume carnivores. Okay, these are the carnivores. They are eating the herbivores. They are known as the secondary consumers. So snakes, fish and spiders, they eat the primary consumers, which are the herbivores. They are also known as the secondary consumers. Now the fourth trophic level, this is occupied by the top carnivores. So predators like lion and tigers, they occupy the top of the food chain. They occupy the fourth trophic level. Okay, so these lions and tigers, they don't have a natural predator, and they are the top carnivore. Okay, so with this, we end this session. I hope your concepts were clear. We'll continue discussing about the concepts in the next session as well. I hope this session was quite knowledgeable for you. We'll meet you in the next session. Thank you very much for listening.